Christmas, Merry Christmas. I actually feel extremely bad for wearing my reindeer ears in this episode because this is such a horrible episode. This story is truly horrific. One of the worst stories I've ever told at the murder she shed. But I was like, I gotta be some kind of Christmas cheer and all this depression I'm fixing to tell. So out came the reindeer ears. But anyway, let's begin. 15-year-old Kristy went to London with his siblings to visit his older sister and the man she had just become engaged to on their Christmas holiday. They were brutally tortured, and by Christmas morning, Kristy would end up dead after 4 days of continual torture by the couple. Come join me in this true crime Christmas tragedy right here at the Murder She Shed. My name is Holly. I need to give a warning on this one. It is one of the most terrible cases of abuse that I have done in the Murder She Shed. So viewer discretion is advised. MAGALIE Bamu was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo on February 21st, 1993. MAGALIE, who I'm going to call Mag because that is just a long word to say. So I'm going to call her Mag on this episode, just because I can, I guess. Anyway, Mag was brought up by an aunt and uncle until she was 5. She moved to France in 1988 and holds French nationality. But as the family moved around, she was left behind to finish her studies. And when the family returned to Congo so that her carpenter father could start a new business in 1996, she was sent at age 13 to live with her mother's niece. She was forced by her mother's niece to cook, clean, and look after the children and was not allowed to go to school. So pretty much she was a slave to her mother's niece, taking care of everything in the household. Later, she signed up for courses in literacy and retail at a sixth form college in Stratford, East London, working as a domestic cleaner to pay her bus fare. She found work as a receptionist and later a dental nurse before meeting a man named BIKUBI through a mutual friend. Eric was a football coach, and at first he was nice, very protective, and all Mag ever wanted was to feel loved and to feel safe, and she felt she had found this when she met Eric. Mag's father accepted Eric into the family and treated him like a son. He had even made plans with Eric to open up a restaurant with him in London one day. But at some point, Eric became very controlling, not allowing her to wear makeup, have friends, or go out. He wanted to control every move that Mag made. Eric, who was also born in the Congo in 1993, his mother died while giving birth to him. Throughout his life, his father taught him about a type of witchcraft called Kondoki. Eric and his uncle fled Congo in 1990 to escape the war there and settled in London, and his uncle would talk more with him about Kondoki through the years, and he eventually passed away. But Eric basically became obsessed with Kondoki and witchcraft, and it just became like an obsession to him. That's what he wanted to think about. That's what he thought about. Kondoki is widely believed in Congo to be responsible for child possessions. When a child is pointed out, usually by a religious leader or elder, as possessing Kondoki, steps would be taken to rid the child of the evil spirit that was possessing them. Children who are perceived to be possessed by Kondoki are subject to exorcisms that include beatings, starvation, and submersion in water. They believe during the possession, this evil spirit has taken over the child, so the child is unable to feel the pain from the horrible mutilations and beatings. Simple, ordinary things children do are viewed as indications of Kondoki possession, such as wetting the bed, biting your nails, and stealing a pencil. If biting your nails are an indication, I am in trouble. I am the worst nail biter ever. My mama would have killed me a long time ago if that was the case. After Eric and Mag were together for a while, he started opening up to her. Eric would talk about the visions he would have as a child, like seeing rats that were never there. Throughout their relationship, Mag said he grew more obsessed with sorcery and witchcraft and began having dreams of his brother killing him. To rid himself of what he believed to be evil spirits, he moved around London to many different apartments to outrun these spirits. But this did not work, so he began consulting Nigerian pastors for help. Years earlier, Eric had a 19-year-old girl staying with him who bit her nails. So he believed she was possessed for the final 3 days of her stay with him before she was able to escape. He would not allow her to eat for 3 days and instead made her pray the whole time. He also cut off all of her hair. At some point, she was able to call her mom, and that probably actually saved her life. In 2009, Mag moved into a woman's refuge for 3 months after Eric gave her a black eye for refusing his orders to eat off the floor. But, as a lot of abused women do, she went back to him after he promised 3 months later, after they'd split up, that they would get engaged and rent an apartment together. So she's like, cool, let's do that. I don't know if that's her exact words, but, kind of crazy. So in 2010, when they were 28 years old, they became engaged and moved into an apartment in London. Mag's family now lived in Paris, and after the couple did become engaged, the family decided to visit them for the holidays. Mag's parents couldn't come until actually New Year's, but the kids were so excited they wanted to visit their older sister for the whole Christmas break. The siblings said at first they were having so much fun at their sister's and Eric's home. They called it the best time of their life until Eric started accusing them of being possessed with Kendoki. This apartment suddenly switched over to being a torture chamber for the siblings. The siblings included 3 boys and 2 girls aged 20 to 11. One brother was autistic. Kristy was 15 and it would endure the worst of the abuse. Kristy would get the absolute most horrible things that would happen to him during this trip. It was so upsetting. I literally almost cried just learning about this case. I'd never heard about it before. At first, they were made to continually pray and they were not allowed to eat, sleep, or drink. Eric believed all the children were possessed, but Kristy, he believed, had come to kill him because he had been possessed by his brother, who he had felt had wanted to kill him in the past. On December 20th, Kristy had to use the bathroom and found he couldn't get in. It was such a dire emergency, he wet himself and then out of embarrassment tried to hide the evidence by hiding his pants in the kitchen. And guess what? Eric found those underwear and he instantly thought, he's possessed. Can you imagine thinking someone wets their pants and they're just possessed? How do you get to that conclusion? At this point, the physical attacks began and Eric began to hit Kristy. To keep from getting hit, the 2 sisters aged 20 and 11 chose to make false confessions and say they were witches. And since it seemed to ease the abuse, the others decided to confess to being witches too. This worked for everyone except for Kristy, and Eric still felt like Kristy was going to kill him. I'm warning you, this is fixing to get graphic. What I'm telling you is horrific abuse. The other siblings were forced to attack Kristy while their oldest sister Mag did nothing or said nothing to protect them. Eric grabbed a hammer and knocked Kristy's teeth out. Eric had Mag pull off part of Kristy's ear with a plier. They literally twisted part of his ear off. Then they made the children hold Kristy down while they hit him with ceramic tiles. This picture, you can see they even busted it, the tiles that hit him so hard with them. Just horrible. Kristy was begging for them just to kill him because he was in so much pain. He was hit with sticks and a weightlifting bar. They smashed his hands with a hammer. They pushed that same weightlifting bar down Kristy's throat. They stabbed him with knives. He screamed so loud that a neighbor heard and called authorities, but they didn't follow up on the complaint. At one point, Eric told the siblings to jump out of the window to see if they could fly. Hundreds of calls to Kristy's father, Pierre, was placed. Eric flat out told Pierre if they didn't come collect his children, they were going to be murdered. There was a terrible snowstorm during this time, and Pierre had been in Paris. He tried to find a way to get there, but he really didn't believe that they were actually in danger. He didn't think the older sister would harm her siblings. Plus, he thought he trusted Eric. He thought he was like a son to him too, and he wouldn't harm him. He thought it was all talk. And the kids were too scared when they called to really speak out and say, yeah, we're in a lot of danger. They were so fearful they couldn't say much when the call was made. So he didn't take this super serious, although he did try to get a flight there. There was no flights going out because of the snowstorm. In the early hours of Christmas morning, the siblings were all placed in the bathtub. Eric said prayers while spraying the kids with water. Kristy was so spent that he didn't have the physical strength to hold his head above the water. He had already been through so much. He hadn't been fed. He hadn't drank anything. He had been beat to a pulp. This poor child had his teeth knocked out, his ear pulled off. I can't even imagine how much pain he must have been in. So as he's spraying him and the tub is filling up and all the kids are getting sprayed, poor little Kristy sinks down into the water and his mouth and nose gets under the water level and he doesn't have the strength to pull himself back up. So unfortunately, he passed away. Mag did call emergency services, but Kristy had already passed. When the ambulance showed up, all the siblings were standing there shaking from cold, wet, and fear. At 8 p.m. that night, one of the siblings called her father and informed him her brother, his son Kristy, was dead. This innocent boy drowned after being so weak and tortured that he could not stand. When the authorities came into the apartment, they found blood all over the flat, on the ceiling, the walls, on floor tiles, on various tools. Autopsy discovered Kristy had more than 120 separate injuries all over his body. Eric and Mag were both arrested for murder. Eric's defense was that he had brain damage and truly believed Kristy was a witch. The judge deemed that the belief in witchcraft, however genuine, cannot excuse an assault to another person, let alone the killing of another human being. Well, I hope not. The judge said, due to the gruesome evidence of these horrific crimes, the jury was excused from serving jury duty ever again. Meg swore that she hadn't wanted to torture her brother, that Eric had forced her to participate, and that she didn't believe in Kentucky. Her surviving siblings claim that was not the case and that she had been just as involved in the torture as Eric. Mag was sentenced to 25 years in prison, while Eric is currently serving 30. So a morning when kids are supposed to be excited about Santa coming turned into a morning of sorrow and sadness for Kristy's family. I know this was a truly horrific case for me to tell for Christmas, but I believe that Kristy's story needed to be told, and maybe we can learn something from this story. Maybe we can see signs from this story of how to prevent this sort of thing. Don't know, it's just horrific. I can't imagine how a sister could do that to their brother. I mean, I love my brother so much. I would never, ever, he's older than me, he could harm me probably, but I would never, ever want any harm to come to him. I would protect him from my life. I would lay down on a railroad track if I thought I could save his life. I mean, how could a sibling do that to another sibling? Just a mind blower. I mean, horrible, horrible case. I'm sorry I had to bring you this on Christmas, but I just wanted to get it out there because it's a story that is not told very much in true crime. And I don't exactly know why. He deserves to be heard. His voice deserves to be heard. So here I am at the Murder She Shed telling you another rare true crime story. And if you want to join me, usually 2-3 times weekly for Rarely Told True Crime, then hit the subscribe to join me right here at the Murder She Shed. And even though that's not the greatest story, I'd like to tell y'all to have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas. Be with your family. Enjoy your family. Because this little boy can't enjoy his family anymore. Horrible, horrible. Guys, I don't even know. And actually, this one's so sad, I didn't even want to do bloopers. So I'm totally skipping them. I know. I just can't bring myself to do it. Besides, I'm freezing out here on top of that. And I know Simon won't come out. He's in there on my couch all warm and toasty. With the fire going, he's not going nowhere. Oh yeah, let me add before I leave to make sure that you go find me on Facebook at The Murder She Shed or find me on TikTok Murder She Said. I'll try to put the links below. I've been meaning to say that, I always forget. Just help support my channel, please. I beg. If you're on Facebook, if you're on TikTok, it just takes a second to follow me, and I'd really appreciate it. So hopefully I can get the word out there about my little Murder She Said, because it's so hard for people to find you on YouTube with these horrible algorithms. So please support a girl out and help me out and follow me, subscribe to me, whatever you can do. That would be much appreciated. And I love you guys. Bye.
It's Christmas time and I want presents. Roast beast, I want roast pheasant. Deck the halls with gin and whiskey. Your tight gym makes me all frisky. 'Tis the season to be sassy. It's